Hello, my name is Jeff Evoy, and I live in Elk Grove, California. In April of 2015, I was diagnosed with a stage 2 tumor on my bladder wall, and in 2016, physicians at the UC Davis Cancer Center provided me with a synthetic neobladder. The next day, the surgeon visited me and informed me, oh, by the way, this procedure, this radical cystoprostatectomy, has the highest rate of post-op complications and the highest rate of hospital readmissions of any surgery in medicine. I was discharged on January 25th, but readmitted on February 3rd. They discovered pelvic wall abscesses and a partial small bowel obstruction. They put me on Dilaudid for the pain. I had a blood clot in my right leg and was undergoing repeated bouts of sepsis. It was 3 more weeks before they could finally perform bowel resection surgery. When I awoke from the surgery, I knew I was in a hospital, but I couldn't remember why I was there. I saw a bunch of tubes coming out of my belly, so I knew something had happened, but I had no idea what or why. I lay there for quite a while until the lady finally came into the room. And that is when my journey into delirium began. I said, hey, you're probably going to think this is a little silly, but I don't remember why I'm here. Can you tell me what happened? She just looked at me. And I said, no, I mean it. I don't remember why I'm here. What happened? And she just turned and went about her business. I thought that was rather rude. I asked her again, and she wouldn't answer me. I became rather irate, and I demanded, look, sweetheart, I want to know why I'm here. At that point, a guy came into the room, and before I could say anything to him, he grabbed my forearm. And I said, hey, there's no reason to get physical. I just want to know why I'm here. I tried to get away from him, but he wouldn't let go. As I struggled with him, 3 more guys came in the room, and they all began fighting with me. I couldn't believe it. What are you guys doing? I yelled. All I'm asking is why I'm here. One of them pulled out a pair of white, puffy mittens, and they put them on my hands, and I went crazy. I couldn't grasp anything. I couldn't scratch my nose. It was an all-out panic attack. I fought those guys with everything I had in me. They pinned me down and strapped me to the bed, and they just all left. I lay there and cried out, God, what just happened? Who are these people? Why did they do this to me? What's going on, Lord? That evening, she came back in the room and just shut the lights out and left. I lay there all night, scared to death. I had no idea why I was there or what was going on. The next morning, she came back in the room, put her face right down on my pillow next to me and said, well now, are you going to behave or are we going to have round 2? And I said, how can you say that? How can you be this way? All I want to know is why I'm here. And my wife, Debbie, came into the room. I said, oh, Deb, something's really gone wrong. I've got short-term memory loss. I don't remember why I'm here. Nobody will answer my questions. And she was just trying to calm me down. And that's when I realized she wasn't going to answer my questions either. I got angry. I grabbed her arm just the way that guy had done to me, and she cried out, Jeff, you're hurting me. Do you want to hurt me? Yes, I want to hurt you. You're with them. In came the goon squad again, and out came those white mittens. I threw up my arms and I said, look, I won't fight you. Just please don't put those things on me again. But they did it anyway. And my whole world was gone. Everybody was against me. even my own wife, and I had no idea why. The next 4 weeks are the most bizarre of my entire life. They kept moving me to different rooms in the hospital. Every couple days they would transfer me somewhere else. They put me over in the Marriott for a few days. I couldn't figure that one out. They transferred me to an old house in downtown San Francisco. My bed was in a living room. People wandering in and out. I thought, what's going on here? One evening, the nurse came in and said, "Well, good night, Mr. Evoy. We're all going home now. We'll see you tomorrow." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, we shut the unit down at 9 o'clock, but we'll see you in the morning." I said, well, what if I need you tonight? What if something happens?" "Oh, you'll be fine." I couldn't believe it. What kind of whacked up hospital lets their nurses go home at night? Nothing made any sense to me. I hated when 7 p.m. would come around. That's when Deb would pack up and go home for the night. That room was so quiet. I would leave the TV on all night. I didn't want to wake up to the silence. One night, my nephew spent the entire night with me. "Uncle Jeff," he said, "I watched you fight those restraints all night long. You were like a bear in a cage." My sister Betty visited me from Tucson. It was a wonderful time. My bed was actually in a made-out garage up in a lodge up in the Sierras. It was a beautiful setting, nice little fireplace nearby. I remember her bending down, kissing me, telling me she loved me. It was one of the sweetest days that I was there. That's what I saw. This is what Betty saw. But the worst thing of all was every few days the nurses would take me out of the hospital, walk me down the street to an old ramshackled house near the hospital. Reminded me of something out of the Addams Family. The bedroom had these big 4-poster beds. They would strap me in those beds. They would torture me. They would beat me. They would shock me. They would stab me. And I cried out, "Why are you doing this?" And I wondered, am I in hell? I thought I was a good Christian, but did I die and miss it? The despair was unimaginable. On several occasions, the night nurse would call Deb and say, "He's having an especially hard night tonight. He can sense when you're here." She would get out of bed, often after midnight, and drive into the hospital and sit beside me. I suffered hypoactive delirium for 4 weeks. When it finally subsided, that's when the real emotional battles began. I suffered extreme depression, frustration, anger. I underwent 6 psychiatric evaluations. I only remember the last one. During the initial evaluation, the psychiatrist noted, "Avoid restraints whenever possible. Immobilization can prolong and even worsen the delirium." During my interview, the nurses attempted to fix his tubes, and he fought them, moaning in pain. I was unable to complete a mental status exam. At my last psychiatric consult, the head of the department said, "I cannot believe how much you remember from within your delirium. Most patients don't remember anything." I was hospitalized for 115 days, including 17 days in an acute rehab hospital. My surgeon, oncologist, PCP, and his supervisor all said, "You are a miracle. You should not be alive." I asked my surgeon what my recovery would be like. He said, "I have no frame of reference. I've never seen anyone go through as much as you have and survive. But it will take years." During the entire time of my stay in the hospital, no one ever told us anything about delirium. Neither my wife or I knew it was delirium, and it was extremely difficult for her to understand what was happening to me and what, if anything, she could do about it. Approximately 1 year after discharge, I spoke at a workshop at UC Davis entitled Reigniting the Spirit of Caring, a 3-day class designed to assist nurses in dealing with job burnout and the incredible stresses they face. I've spoken there many times since, and I've had several nurses tell me how much my story of how they helped me has now helped them through their difficult times. Once an attendee spoke up and said, "I am here because I am so burned out dealing with delirium patients. And for you to come here today and thank me for what we had to do to you, it makes a difference." She was the supervisor for the ICU pharmacy staff and invited me to come and speak to her group as well. She later told me, "We have changed the way we medicate patients based on your story." UC Davis has changed the way they treat delirium patients based on my story. Unfortunately, being discharged from the hospital and the physical healing did not eliminate the effects of the delirium. Not long after I started speaking at Spirit of Caring, they appeared. One night, I awoke out of a sound sleep because I could sense a presence with me. I opened my eyes to see a specter hovering directly over me in bed. It reminded me of a Dementor out of Harry Potter. His blank eyes were staring deeply into my soul. I cried out in terror. My wife awoke and grabbed me, started praying, calling on the name of Jesus. It finally went away, but I lay there shaking, wondering what had just invaded our room and my life. They appeared at random times, sometimes a horrible creature, sometimes a person, hovering over me, standing beside my bed, walking through the bedroom. Many times I was afraid to go out at night to get a drink of water for fear they'd be waiting for me in the family room. I believe they are a derivation of that very first encounter I had with the nurse in Delirium. I thank the good Lord that in the last few months they have subsided significantly. I now understand what they are. I do my best to resist them. I often stare them down until they disappear. Delirium and PTSD nightmares are very real and very terrible. Our healthcare organizations need to do a much better job, not only of understanding and treating delirium, but especially of helping the patients and the families to understand what we're going through.